Cadillac, happy 2021
Happy
episode.
2021. Yes.
Episode what? 22, I think.
Yes, sir. I think so.
So I'm gonna repeat this again because look, like everything else in life, man. You start doing something. So there's stages to everything in life, right? There's the day where I'm like, hey, man, I'm turning off my phone here. There's the day where I'm like, you know what, man, we should do a podcast, right? And then I'm going to walk you through the stages of this, and then it's like, hey, Cadillac, you want to be on the podcast? Yeah, that's another stage, Then we're doing the face-to-face ones, and then we're like, man, in order for us to do more of these, we got to do the Zoom thing because we both get busy and we're both in different places and everything like that. And then by the time you know it, you're like, oh shit. First of all, to start the podcast, I know internally it took me a year probably, when I thought I should have done it till I actually did it. Most of it is like, well, let me lose a little bit of weight first. And then that never happened. Right. And then, so I'm like, dude, I don't want to be the fat fuck on a podcast. You know what I mean? So, and then I'm like, you know what, dude, I just got to start it and maybe that'll motivate me to lose some weight. And then that didn't work either. But, so it goes through stages. And then, man, I started, I do watch a lot of podcasts. I listen to and I watch a lot of podcasts myself. They're all MMA related. I'm not going to say all, but most are MMA related, martial arts or any kind of fighting related, wrestling, stuff like that. And then I'm like, man, we could really do this. Like, everybody starts somewhere. And I since I've been keeping my eye on it for a while, I'm like, man, everybody kind of starts somewhere, right? And everybody starts at nothing and everybody starts creeping up. And I followed a couple of these guys that started just nowhere and they're a legitimate real podcast. And then I'm like sending, Cadillac text, man, hey, let's do this, man. Hey, let's, I'm remotivated, more motivated than when we started to grow this, and meaning more like just offer more content for you guys, right? Offer news. We're a unique Cadillac. I don't know if you know this, but we're very unique here, right? You and I, like on paper, nobody would make sense to why we're friends, and we've been friends for such a long time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't want to get all romantic and opposites attract or everything like that. We're pretty damn opposite. You know what I mean? I'm Hispanic. Let's start there. Let's start with the inappropriate. You can't say shit anymore. But
The ethnicity.
I'm Cuban. You're American. I curse a lot. You don't curse at all. I drink a lot. You don't drink at all. I've done a lot of drugs in my life. You've done probably none. But more than anything else in business, we do different things, but we agree on a lot of stuff. We definitely agree politically, which we try very. If you millions of listeners would know how hard we try not to turn this shit into a political podcast. If you guys, I wish we would maybe at some point we'll have like the when we start talking before we start recording. You know what I mean?
The outtakes.
So, but yeah, the point is that, man, we are at least, our intent is really to take this to the next level, meaning that we're out there getting you guys information. That's going to turn into interviews with the people and the different, subjects that we're talking about. So, the stage that we're at right now is like, man, look, we've done this. We've done it for, 20 something episodes. It feels right. We got a little bit more practice in it. And I think we have something special here that we're going to take to the next level. So, I congratulate you, all you, millions of listeners, for the honor of being here from the beginning. So, thank you. And you're welcome at the same time. Okay. So, Cadillac, you want to add anything to my manifesto?
Yeah, your monologue there. No, I thought it was a solid one. I mean, it's doing business brings you together with very different people a lot of times, and you don't have to agree on all things, and that's kind of I mean, we're trying not to get political, but it's really what it is. We don't have to agree on all things, but it doesn't mean that
Oh,
we can't.
religion. That's another thing. Another thing we're opposites in.
Sure.
Religion. Yeah.
It doesn't mean we still don't get along. It doesn't mean that we still don't respect each other, even though we have different views on different things. And that's an important skill to have in life and in business. And I think, for agents going forward, they need to recognize you don't have to agree with your customers about everything. It doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes it's good to have your ideas pushed on and beat up a little bit, and see how they stand up. I think it's good. I think the dialogue is a very important part of things. But yeah, that's what I had. Actually, I think that it might be a good place to start, because I know you were pretty excited about where you went. You were telling me about
Redneck Riviera.
The absolutely.
Am I allowed to say that? I think, yeah, because you can insult. I can insult as many white people as I want.
Yes, it is completely okay as long as they're white and male. You're fine.
Yeah. So Redneck Riviera, I loved it. But you can't insult me back, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Because sizeism hasn't become a thing, and you're taller than me. So theoretically, because, and this is coming at some point, I'm pretty sure, it is statistically been proven that taller people get paid more than people that are not as tall.
Right.
So theoretically, I should be able to insult you for your tallism because you're taller than me at some point. Yeah. So that's coming. I just want to give you an advanced preview of where all this ism is going.
Right. So. Yeah, but this is pretty cool because I could say whatever I want, and then if you say anything back, I have it recorded, and then I could technically say, "Listen, this guy's a racist. This guy's
absolutely," and destroy my entire life and cancel me. I can be
disparaging my Hispanic race.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So before we start getting going where we always try not to go, all right. Buyers and sellers are substantially more pessimistic about the housing market as COVID cases surge. I call 150% bullshit. What do you think about that? Total clickbait, unless this article was written out of like San Francisco, California or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, don't forget. Remember the article that we looked at a couple of weeks ago where California is the hottest markets, yada.
Yeah.
California has been on lockdown central for the last how long?
Yeah, well, my best friend Leon, I call him Uncle Leon. We're talking the other day, and I'm like, dude, you gotta like. Whatever, it's it was just regular friend talk, about him going out there and meeting a young lady and everything. I'm like, dude, you gotta get out, man. You know what I mean? You gotta do. He was like, go where, stupid? I'm like, just go out. I'm like, he's like, it's closed. I'm like, what do you mean it's closed? He goes, everything is closed. But I'm like, wait a second. I mean, you can still go in with a mask and the whole thing. He goes, no, it's closed. There's nothing open at all. Mask, helmet, doesn't really matter. Every bar, every restaurant is 100% closed. I'm like, oh shit. You kind of hear about it in the news, but like now it's like my boy telling me like, hey man, no, they're not exaggerating. Everything is closed.
So, and then this is the thing, right? And this, I've run into this a lot. I just was in Cabo, Mexico, right? And so I was talking to somebody who his parents who were in Oregon. And in these states where they're in lockdown, there is genuine terror of COVID. Like, I am going to get it and I am going to die, right? And so these people, like, they think you're nuts. I had a guy that's a federal court judge that called me from New York. And he's like, I hear people in Florida go outside without masks on. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I didn't wear a mask. I didn't wear a mask for 9 days. I went to Orlando, Florida, right? I went to Destin, Florida. So Destin, Florida is a whole different animal there. That's 2020 there. I mean, that's January of 2020. You know what I mean? The waitresses and bartenders are not wearing masks.
Yep.
I walk in and I'm like, oh my God.
Like, what happened?
What like where are we and how do I stay here for a very long time? You know what I mean? I'm like, I told the girls, I go, the girls in the front, I go, girls, listen, you know, you might think I'm crazy and I'm okay with it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all of you guys. I thank the waitresses. I thank the bartenders. I'm like, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I wanted to support this type of behavior.
Absolutely.
But
So
here's the thing though. Here's the thing though, Cadillac. Here's the thing though. There was people in there wearing a mask and it was fine.
yeah, do what you want to do. Look, when I went to Cabo, the people in the line to check into the hotel I was staying had masks on. And then I started looking around because I was wearing a mask too, because like I'm in a different country. What are the rules, right? I look around, like almost nobody else is wearing it. Anybody that's been staying there. So I take my mask off because I really don't care about getting it. And lo and behold, like there were a handful of people that still wore their mask, but almost everybody, it was like once we all like socially agreed that the mask was coming off, they all
everybody's like, you're like, can I, you grab on and you're like, can I? We're
you
good.
take it off one ear, you let it hang, like you get ready to sit. Yeah. But I think that's what I'm saying is I think that ties directly in. I know we're getting like people think maybe we're getting off into a tangent on COVID, but we're not, because this is what this directly relates to. We're looking at this from the filter of Florida glasses. And Florida, we've been open. So, I mean, I pulled the numbers up just so I had them in front of me. Florida, 19,000 new cases, which is a lot. Now, but if you take a look at how they're spread out much more evenly throughout the state. California, hermetically sealed lockdown, right? I mean, locked way down. You can't go anywhere. 40,000 new cases today, or yesterday, actually. 40,000. All right. So, yeah, California's got more population. Guess what? We have about a half the population, a little bit less than half a little bit more than half the population of California. They have just as many cases per capita as we do. We're open. They're not.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. What is the psyche like of a person that's been living basically in a bomb shelter in their house? They can't get out in California. Do you think they're optimistic about selling their home?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So you're saying that, okay, so let me read this. So you're saying that is what's influencing my next, what I'm about to read right now. So the percentage of survey respondents who said it was a good time to buy a home fell to 52% from 57. Okay, which by the way,
about 10%.
Right, 5%, and right.
No,
While the percentage who said it was a bad time to buy decreased 39 to 35.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Okay, so one side. So to the on the sell side, just 50% said it was a good time to sell. Downside, 59% was the previous. Okay, so respondents who said it was a bad time to sell rose to 42% from 33%. Right, where though? You right? Because right now, the conversation I was having was yesterday. I've had it several times, and we've had it here. Is like we're probably in the most unique time where it's actually. I have two dear friends. Just one of them closed today. They're sold and bought. I mean, friends of mine that are like, hey man, should I do this? I'm like, you damn right you should. And by the way, they won on the sale and they won on the purchase. They won on the sale and they won on the purchase. Straight up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They won on the sale because they sold higher than asking price, right? And they sold and they won on the purchase because their fucking rate is a 2.6. Right? How do you lose with a rate being 2.6? Cadillac, not okay. So I'm just the regular guy who says, wow, 2.6, that's great. Like, how do you, let's talk about like, how does Cadillac see it being a 2.6? How do you lose with the rate at 2.6? I mean, is it almost free money?
It's getting close. It's getting close. And I mean, the question is, what they're going. I mean, there is a possibility that they go to negative interest rates and this goes even lower. But I don't know if it's even possible. I mean, the reality of it is, so the interest rates and what the Federal Reserve does with the interest rates is kind of a safety cushion for the economy, so that when times are bad, they have a way to stimulate the economy, and then when times are good, they can kind of take that slack out.
Right. I think that we're always talking about the subject, the name, right? I think the name for this one is time to buy. Right? Time to buy? Question mark. right? Time to sell? Question mark.
I think actually, to my mind, it's probably a better time to sell than it is a time to buy.
What?
A little bit.
Why?
Why? Because I think that you're going to have the bank's forbearances come to an end, which is going to result in there being more inventory. So I see there being a.
No, okay.
So what I'm saying, I think is this.
So you're saying sell before there's more inventory, and you're not the only red girl in the dress at the party.
Absolutely, the red dye has been banned, and I'm the only person with a red dress in the room. That's when I want to sell. I have the greatest amount of scarcity. I think that scarcity has to come down some because there's just too many people that have been hurt by all this.
So kind of like there's going to be a couple morons saying, "You see, so the market is going to go down."
Well, and this is where I have to temper that because, all right, there is the possibility.
We could afford some.
Well, but there is the possibility that theoretically this is much bigger than either you or I, boots on the ground, what we see, anticipate, right? That there is that much inventory. But the reality of it is right now what we have is an excess of demand and just not enough supply to meet it. If we brought some more inventory to market, it would be good. The question is, how much more inventory can we maintain and what is it going to do? Because, I mean, this is the current trajectory. We talked about this before. This is the current trajectory of the market right now. It's just the prices are going up and up and up, and there's no inventory.
Yeah, but Cadillac again, and it's kind of like we talk about this. We're in this every single day, right? So when they put a microphone in front of us, like what we have right now, and say talk about what's going on. We have to talk about. There's a lot of stuff that we end up repeating because it's the same shit, right? Man, my biggest issue right now. So I don't know if a lot of you know this. I know we have some new listeners. I own a real estate company with over 400 agents, right? So it doesn't get any more boots on the ground than me because I'm seeing not only what I see, but I got 400 agents feeding me information, and I know what contracts are being accepted and which ones are not, and why they are and why they're not. The biggest issue I have right now is I have realtors and I have buyers that get frustrated and stop searching for real estate because they can't find any. They just can't find a house. Like this deal that I closed today, that's an old friend of mine from high school. Dude, it was a challenge. And I'm going to be honest with you, and he'll tell you, the house that he got, he kind of likes. Doesn't love it. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't love it. So it's one of those things, man. It's like, and I had to have the talk with him and say, hey, this ain't the time to buy the dream home. It's not, because even if you come in cash, there's going to be other people offering more.
Sure.
Like you're probably not going to. And now,
but so you're making my case right there. That's exactly what you're saying. I mean, it's the rate. The rate is the one thing that's driving this and making it a good buyer's market.
That you have to, no, you have to buy right now. Oh, but I don't really want to. Doesn't matter. You have to. Because if you're going to buy, no, I'm just serious. If you're, okay, so unless you're staying, and this was the conversation I had with him, unless you're staying in this house, is this a house you're staying in forever? No. Okay. So where do you want to move to? In this particular case, Palmetto Bay. Some people might know where that is. Some people might not, right? Okay. So this is the only time. So this buddy of mine purchased a $750,000 house. Okay. He's paying less, pretty much, than the house he's selling. Right? That he ended up buying for like 400 or something like that years and years ago, or you know what I mean? So he could buy, he could sell at the top of the market, because boy, did we sell at the top of the market. He's buying at the top of the market, but it doesn't feel like the top of the market because the fucking rates are so low.
Yeah.
And now, how do you compare? So if your rate's at 2.6, which is what I think he got, right? And appreciation is at 3%.
At 3. 3 is what it historically should be, but I mean, it's been way over that for years.
I did that on purpose, because I'm going to go back 30 years, and do the average of 30 years, and that's what you get. You get 3%.
Yep.
If you go 5 years, you'll get fucking 30% or something like that. Now, so if averages, and I always like to do that. Like, okay, well, no, I don't want to tell you it's going to appreciate 10% or 15%. I'm going to tell you it's going to appreciate 3%, because if you go back 30 years and you average the ups and the downs and the little bit and a lot and the whole thing, you end up 3%. So if you're at a 2.6 rate and you're appreciating at 3%, what's happening there? Like like, does it become free money?
Theoretically, you're appreciating higher than the interest rate that they're charging you. You're making the difference on the spread. So yeah, it is a benefit. And I mean, look, I'm an easy sale on the benefit of the purchase versus rental. One of these days we need to pull up and I can share the screen with you of a side by side comparison of a purchase versus a rental. It's one of the things that I teach in my class, and the actual dollars and cents difference to a homeowner. And so on even a 300, I think the one that I did in that is a $325,000 home. The difference to the homeowner was like $60,000 over 5 years.
Yeah.
The benefit, the actual real financial benefit between the tax benefit and just recognizing the benefit of the appreciation on the home. So no, I agree with you. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, we're really talking about the pluses and minuses. The minus is, or the plus is, the bank rates are so low that it's just super cheap. The downside is
it free? My question is it free?
It's pretty much free.
I keep on asking you the question, like, is it, you know what I'm saying? Like, Cadillac, is it free? The answer is probably.
Probably it is. No, that's what I'm saying. Probably
is it free money? You know what I mean? Like, and when there's a lot of we could mount an argument, okay, and be right there in either winning it or it could go 50-50 on it, our bank's offering free money right now. Because if you're purchasing a property right now, okay, and that property is appreciating at a 2.6, and that property is appreciating at a 5% for the next 3 years, okay, it's free money, plus you're getting a little kicker.
Absolutely,
on it.
You're getting a kicker, and you're going to be able to get rid of your mortgage insurance, and you're going to be able to take and even get a home equity line against that. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of benefits.
Right, and here's another thing, and why they can't, they meaning the institutions and the government, and why they can't raise that right now is there's a lot of refinancing going on right now. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you something, there's a lot of refinancing happening right now, like in my lifetime I've never seen, where people are not cashing out, they're just lowering their payment.
Yep.
Right. So, you know, that being said, if there is a large percentage of the economy, large percentage of homeowners that are going from a $3,000 payment to a $2,000 payment, just to throw numbers out there. And by the way, those numbers are not fucking crazy. The numbers I just threw out right now, if you were at a 6% rate, okay, which you very much could be, and you're at a 2.6, 2.5 right now, my numbers that I just threw from 3 to 2,000 are probably pretty much on the money. Okay.
Sure.
What does that do to the economy when now you have hundreds and thousands or millions of people with another $1,000 a month of buying power, of saving, of purchasing goods? You know what I mean?
It does a lot, but I mean, again, it's all trying to counteract the damage that's been done to the economy by this. You know, I don't know whether you want to take it.
Cadillac, but there's a large population of the economy that is not being affected by this and are benefiting from it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
How many people do you know that are not affected at all by this? Because I know in my life, I could tell you that the majority of my friends are not affected by this.
Sure.
Negatively.
Sure. I mean, look, I agree with what you're saying. The question is, we don't know what the full extent, and I'm only saying this to take it and put the other side out there, because I think there is something to be said to this. I mean, I know the MMA gym that was on the corner just below the gym where they're out of business. They're gone. Yeah. There's some place. I mean, what are they going to do? How can they even run that business anymore? You know, they're going to fight each other from 6 feet away, short of using bows and arrows. What are we going to do? Right.
Yeah. Gyms, not bars so much, because I haven't been to an empty bar in a while, and I've been going to bars. I've been going to bars. And
Well,
by
I
the
mean,
way, I've been going to
that's just
bars.
research for the podcast, man.
Listen, I've been going to bars. I'm going to tell you the bars that I've fucking been to in the last 6 months. I've been to bars in Wichita, Kansas. I've been to bars in Des Moines, Iowa. I've been to bars in Bettendorf, Iowa. I've been to bars in Destin, Florida, Birmingham, Alabama. Okay. Georgia. What else? What else? Oklahoma. I've been to bars in all these places. No empty bars. Okay. No empty bars. Nowhere. Bars, second they open them up, if you got to wear a fucking hazmat suit and scuba gear, people are sitting at that bar with their scuba gear having drinks. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's airlines. I know they're doing less flights, but I have not been on an empty. I have not been. See, I'm the big guy with the wide shoulders. Okay. I mean, I'm an abnormally wide shoulder type of guy. Okay. I can't sit in the middle. I just can't sit in the middle. It's impossible for me to sit in the middle. If I get sat in the middle, I'm standing up the whole flight. I'm spending 20 minutes in the bathroom. I'm not making friends with the lady in conversation. So I'm not sitting down. I just can't do it. I can't do this for 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So, flights are full. I know they're doing less flights, but airports are full. Flights are full, right? So there's a lot of people not affected by this. There's a lot of people not affected by this. I think that there's more people not affected than affected. I think there's enough people affected that it affects the economy as a whole, because the economy is very fragile. You get 10% of people doing bad, that's a big problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for most people, if they lost 10% of their income, they go from being above water to being underwater.
That's right.
And so that's exactly what's happened to the country.
Businesses, yeah. Most businesses operate within a 10, 15.
Oh, 15 would be great. A 15% profit margin would be phenomenal for most businesses.
For most businesses. So if you go down, so understood. But I'm making the argument that there is more people benefiting from these low rates that are not affected by this than there are people that need all of this stuff to survive. You know what I mean?
And sure, but the thing is,
but maybe that's because I'm in Florida, though. I don't know.
That's part of it. And the thing is, to me, okay, now we've used our big gun to try to take and fix things, right? We've lowered the interest rate to 0. What happens next? What do we do next? Because the number of tools they have left available to them, more stimulus checks. I mean, seriously, I did the math of how much it costs to send out a $2,000 check to everybody. It's trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 300 million people.
You mean aside from the actual 2,000?
No, the actual cost of take 2,000, multiply it by the 300 million people in the United States of America.
Right, but is it 300 million or is it half?
Well, it's 300. I did it based upon about half.
Right.
So I mean, it's a huge number. And how long can $2,000? How long can that really sustain anybody?
A month.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, most people make more than $2,000 a month.
Yeah, I would think. Businesses. I mean, they might as well get that money and burn it.
And
they'd have more fun just burning the shit than actually using it.
I would say that it's probably reasonable. If you're in one of these states like Wisconsin that's been on shutdown. By the way, Wisconsin has been shut down for how long?
I went to Wisconsin. I went to Wisconsin. No problem.
They should have 0 cases, right?
Right.
They don't. They still have thousands of cases today of COVID. So
yeah, but look, so let's talk. So now that we're saying this, I'm thinking, man, because one thing is hearing about Wisconsin being shut down, and then another thing is going to Wisconsin. I went to a couple badass restaurants in Wisconsin, no issues whatsoever. I went to one steakhouse that was pretty damn phenomenal in Wisconsin, and then I was there for a wrestling event for my son that they rented out an enormous hotel, one of these hotels that's actually a huge convention center.
Mhm.
There was 6,000, maybe 7,000 people at this event,
Yeah.
right?
They let that
So
go on?
yeah, went on,
Huh.
went on without a hitch. Now, here's another thing. So that's why, like, I've been around so much that during this that I can kind of tell you. So you could tell. Okay, so in a lot of these events, they have security going around saying, "Put up your mask, put up your mask." Right? Put up, not put on, put up. Because people put it here, right? So everybody has it on, and people don't have it up. So um, in some states, like Wichita, Kansas, or not Wichita, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, the mask patrol was intense. The CNN News outside the event, police and code and sport inspection walking around, people, constant threats through the microphone that they were going to shut it down. Wisconsin, half the people had the mask on, half the people had it, on,
Mhm.
right? By second day, very few security telling you to put it on. So what happens is if they don't feel the pressure, the event holders don't feel the pressure from the city, they don't put the pressure on you guys, on us guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. That a lot of these places that we're hearing on the news that are closed down. Now I wonder if maybe it's the mayor too, kind of like now that I think about it.
Sure it is.
Because like the Naples mayor here in Naples, Florida, the Naples mayor from day one said, listen, nobody's wearing a mask because I don't feel like it. I think it's unconstitutional to make anybody wear a mask, and we're not shutting anything down. He was day one. So I'm wondering if maybe the city that I was in, which was this Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin, if that's one of those places where it's a little bit more loosey goosey.
I don't know. It sounds like it. I mean, I know like Miami-Dade and Broward are both much tougher
Way
than,
tougher. Yeah.
than most of the cities that are here.
So nationally, the number of homes for sale went down 39.6% in December, year over year, according to Realtor.com. That amounts to 449 fewer homes for sale than 2019. Right. That's our lack of inventory.
Correct.
So we have, right, but so this is set up as a negative article,
Yes, it is.
but it's not. It's not. I mean, if we have 39.6% less inventory than we had last year, right? And our rates are, I don't know, 20%, 30% lower than they were last year. That means we have more demand and 39.6 less supply. Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it there, Cadillac.
I agree. There is a tremendous lack of supply,
Yeah,
and
consumers are likely reacting.
it's going to result in fewer. I'm actually surprised it hadn't happened sooner. That the sales numbers hadn't dropped just because there's not a lot of inventory out there. That's all there is to it.
Right, but December for me was the best month of the year.
It was a good month for me. I closed several things on personally in December.
November, the last quarter was definitely the best quarter. So,
yeah. But again, we're in a different kind of place. I mean, there was the gentleman I was telling you about that when I was in Cabo that I was speaking to, his parents, he's like, come down. They're like, leave our house. How could you ask us to leave our house? If we leave our house, we're going to die.
It's a different world over there.
And so, and that's not the first time I've heard that. As I said, people are hearing different things in the media in those places. I mean, as of let me just take a quick peek and make sure that this is the information I'm going to give you is accurate, because I like to be on top of the accuracy of the info. As it stands right now, California has just surpassed, finally, after all this time, New York for the most COVID deaths. New York is still at 38,683. And California has just got to
Right. Again,
I take it back. I take it back.
Try not to get political, but if you got to have a shark bite.
Incorrect information. I apologize. New York still leads the country in deaths at 38,000. California has 28,000. Texas has 29,000. Florida has 22. Now, New York has a much smaller population than any of those states. Both Texas, Florida, and California all have significantly larger populations than New York. So yeah, that's what we see. And I mean, it's kind of, to me, if it wasn't all this political nonsense that goes on, it's actually an interesting, that's what's supposed to be interesting about democracy. You know, we have all these different states. We can see, hey, this one's doing that over there. How's that working out? Right.
Well, and look, and this is not a real estate related article, but I'm going to make it one because it really is. So Elon Musk is now the richest person in the world, passing Jeff Bezos. Elon Musk just moved to Texas.
Yeah, I know.
Jeff Bezos was going to move the headquarters to New York and didn't because of the obvious horseshit that we're not supposed to, we try very hard not to talk about. That affects real estate dramatically. Elon Musk, I don't know if you're like a Joe Rogan podcast guy, but the Joe Rogan, basically the world of comedy, Cadillac, has disappeared in California. 100% disappeared because there is no comedy clubs. You're not allowed to perform. You're not allowed to go to a restaurant, not allowed to go to a bar. So what's happening is that an enormous exodus of comedians and actors and performers that are moving now to Texas, Austin, Texas in particular. You know, those are things that affect real estate, man. Those are things that affect the economy as a whole, in those states and in those cities. You know what I mean? So, Jeff Bezos, how many jobs was he supposed to produce there? I'll tell you right now. Amazon jobs created in New York move.
It was a big number. It was a big number actually, but I mean, it seems that type of thinking, the type of thinking that wants to punish business, that looks at business and business trying to gain a competitive advantage through tax credits and things like that is looked down on. And you know, I don't know.
Manhattan lease does not qualify. Whatever, he had one and exchanged the building, huge campus in Long Island that was to employ more than 25,000 people. Right.
Yep.
So you know what? Because you know, one of the people, I don't know, people might not know, but when you and I met, we met in CCIM class, and I remember one of the things that impacted me the most was during the CCIM. How they calculating real estate and calculating appreciation and analyzing a property for its profits and everything like that. They made sure we understood that in your due diligence and in your, I guess, qualification of this property, you have to 100% take politics into play. And I remember saying, wow, that's interesting. They're literally teaching you in real estate school that politics has a lot to do with whether you should purchase a property or not.
Of course it does.
That stuck with me. Like, wow. The first time I had thought about it, you know, really, and man, let me tell you something, that has never been more true than 2020 and probably 2021.
No, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
All right, Cadillac. So you got anything else?
That's it, man. That's it. I mean, I think that we've covered it. I mean, I think that there's reasons to be optimistic for the real estate market. I think that you know, that optimism should be tempered based upon the places that you go to. The more shut down the place is, the greater the strain it's putting on the businesses and the economy, and theoretically, the more damage that'll be done, and the greater the greater reason for concern in the real estate market. We happen to be in a place where things are pretty open. Oh my gosh! Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's safe to say the reason why, again, trying not to get political, but let's say that for whatever reason, the current politics are going to affect our the current politics are going to push for shutdowns and restrictions towards businesses, correct, Cadillac?
Yes.
Nationwide. But we are in a bubble here in Florida where we're not going to feel that because of our governor.
Well, hopefully so.
As long as the country continues to be shut down as a whole, and we don't get shut down, we're in a little bit of a perfect storm here in Florida. Is that fair to say?
Well, us and other states. There's other states that are open as well. So I mean, as long as that stays the case, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff.
All right, bud.
All right, bud. I'll
Friday.
Talk to you.
See you next week.
See you next week.
All right, brother.